Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Tamar.
And I'm Will.
And we just finished watching Married at First Sight, Season 12. We forgot the episode, so I'll just put it in the title. And baby, we have to take notes.
Woo,
I have notes. Woo. He has notes. Let's dig into it.
Yes, that's
you know who we're gonna start with first, because that's what the people came to see.
Yes.
We'll call it. Haley and Paige, I guess, bonded over hating their husbands or something, and they were hanging out all night. And so that's the update we got on Paige. Next thing we hear about Paige is that Pastor Dwight, Chris's pastor, had to meet with Paige, which I understand because, first of all, he's a pastor and he put his name on the line. He counseled Chris. He invited the cameras to his church. He stepped in. Usually the show hires pastors. In all my years of watching Married at First Sight, I have never saw one of the participants' own pastor marry them. So he really put his name out on the line. So he had to make sure his brand looked good, and also as a pastor he did what was right. So Pastor Dwight met with Chris. Yep. Paige.
Yeah.
And he said like the scripture about a double-minded person.
Yeah, he said a double-minded man is not a stable man. It's not stable in all his ways.
Oh, yep. And we're gonna get to that.
Yeah. So go ahead. Go first.
Okay. So that's before, and then Paige was at Haley and Jacob's barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and she was there by herself, and then I should have known something that we were gonna get upset about was gonna happen when this girl.
It was going too good. So first.
No, wait.
Go ahead.
Sorry, babe. This girl was sitting up there with those girls. I might have to put the picture of this. She was sitting up with those girls at the barbecue, and she had the nerve to say, I really don't know what I'm going to do. Whatever I wake up and decide to do, I'm going to do. I can't curse right now. But, girl, this man had a panic attack because he thought you were ugly. He brought his ex-fiance to your face, who was shocked you guys were having sex. They came together dressed like they were about to go to dinner together.
Mm-hmm. And he probably brought her there. Who knows? He could have been like, as they left, see, babe, I told you you didn't have nothing to worry about. He probably took her there to check her out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To tell her she didn't have nothing to worry about.
Or he used that girl to show viewers at home, this is the kind of girl I'm used to.
Mm-hmm.
I know how to pull bad girls. Chris is that narcissistic. Mm-hmm. Or he wanted them to fight over him because he's ugly and he never had women fight over him.
Yep. So
yeah.
let's get down to the nitty gritty. Let's get down to the conversations and what took place with these two.
So they met up.
Mm-hmm.
Baby, you can go because I feel like I've been talking.
Yeah, it's a lot. So let's we're gonna get back to the double-minded thing because you can see that Chris when he got there, first of all, kudos to Paige because I actually in that moment I was proud of her because she actually stood up to him and let him know listen, you're wasting my time and you're making me mad. You know what I mean? I don't have time for this. And she got up and walked away, but then she came back and that's when I said, dun dun dun, here it comes. So Chris had the nerve, first of all, to sit there and said, my stance haven't changed since last week. And Paige is just like, wait, you really brought me here to tell me that? I could have stayed home for this. You know what I mean? I would have said no if you told me this is what we was going to talk about today. And I think in that moment, first of all, he came up with some sob story of I'm afraid I'm gonna do this. Oh, I'm afraid this is gonna happen. I'm afraid. So you know what? If you caught me at the beginning of the episode, I would have been right with Chris on that, because I would have seen like, oh, this guy is, he's being vulnerable in this moment. He's like telling her, he's keeping it real with her, telling her,
Yes.
if I'm afraid, if I stay with you, I'm gonna fall in love with you. He's telling her things she want to hear. That goes back to the pastor scripture: a double mind will always be unstable. And in this moment, he's showing how he keeps flip flopping, going back and forth. And she just had the conversation with him, like, I feel like you keep playing games with me. You're beating around the bush. You're not keeping it real with me. And then, like, in that moment, you know what I mean? I'm just like, okay. But then I'm like, no, no, because you can see, like, it was coming up to Paige.
Wait, you missed the part. So finally, this girl does something with common sense.
Mm-hmm.
She tells him off. Then she walks off, and the producers now tell her. And the producers that they had, because I'm nosy and I like to see everything. These are the same producers that Greg and Diana had. Like, most of our favorite couples, they've been, and I think they also had Amani and Woody. So
Mm-hmm.
so every season of Married at First Sight, each couple has their own set of producers and camera people that follow them, and so it's like they grow a bond with these people, whatever. I think they had Woody, Miles and Karen.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so I do know that the particular producers that Chris and Paige had, their track record for the couples that they've been over have been good,
Mm-hmm.
So I recognized one of them from, like, one of them posting, one of a former Married at First Sight person. Anyway, I'm losing track. So they tell Paige, you have to tell him that he cannot call you anymore. Why did this girl go back and sit with him? First of all, that could have been a text. She could have just blocked his number. Why is she going over there to talk to him? So now when she goes over to talk to him, I literally was like the lady from Get Out.
Wait.
No. Can you unlock this for me so I can read my note for that?
Before you go there, like, first of all, I don't understand how Chris had the nerve to say, I have my guard up, before he went into his I'm afraid speech.
Yeah.
Chris, why does he have his guard up?
Hold on, Will. I'm sorry. We're all over the place because this was crazy.
Yeah.
Before Paige went and talked to the producers, my notes were that Chris met at Paige? ? This ninja has a nerve to be mad at Paige. This is this gaslighting, manipulative BS that we've been seeing from Chris. And then I saw signs of abuse and control because he was mad at the pastor. The pastor's supposed to be his buddy. And he was mad that the pastor went and spoke to Paige.
He's supposed to be on my side.
So
I brought him in on our team.
The real reason why he was talking to Paige wasn't because he cared about Paige. He wanted to find out what the pastor said about him because Chris is an insecure man. And so he wants to know what others have to say about him.
Yep. And
so he was only trying to be nice to Paige.
I think that's
because
what it was
of the pastor,
Good
like
point.
The real controlling, manipulative person that he is. And then I also put psycho because he was smirking at her.
Yeah.
And then I said he was talking about circumstance. He said because, and then going back to what you were saying, he was saying, his guard, it under different circumstances. First of all, that's BS. Because a week ago, he literally, it had nothing to do with his circumstance or him feeling afraid. A week ago, he told his pastor he felt from the minute that he saw Paige that she was not attractive. So he never said anything about a guard. He never said anything about that to his spiritual counselors. He talked about looks and he talked about sex. It has nothing to do with circumstances. So anyway, will unlock this for me. Sorry, I wrote in his iPad, and I don't know why. Why do you have a code?
You know the code.
I don't memorize this. Anyway, so that's what I put. So now, fast forward. The producers tell Paige, don't call to tell Chris. The producers told Paige to tell Chris, don't call her. And so then, Paige.
She asked. I think she was trying to figure out what do you want to do? You know what I mean? Because it seemed like that's where she was going. Like, why you brought me here? Why did you waste my time? What do you want to do? And he was like, sort of like, oh, I guess, you know. And then that's when the word came up, reset. I was like, so her no was more like the no from, your no was like the no from Get Out, right?
Yeah, like, no.
My no was from Martin. When he was like, no. Oh, or it could have been like when he was dying, you know. I mean, anyway. I was thinking about Get Out when she put him into the dream and he was falling forever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
literally,
just like we both were so
we literally were saying
stunned.
no, and I said, Paige, are you dumb? Like, I'm from New York, so that's gonna be my reaction. I said, are you dumb? Anyway, so literally my note says, what the F? And that's reset, and then it says, Paige, are you dumb? Like, literally, that's my notes. Paige, are you dumb? WTF and reset.
That poor girl. I feel so bad because she set herself
Why?
up for this one.
Because she a little slow?
She set herself up for this one. And you know, like, as far as being nice, like, I'm a nice person. Like, when it comes to things like that, you know what I mean? Like, giving people second chances, doing stuff over and over again. But
no, there's a scripture. If you want to talk about scripture,
be wise as a serpent
and gentle as a dove. And she's not being wise. And I also was gonna bring up that scripture, double-minded. Chris and Paige are a match made in heaven. The experts were right on paper. They're a match made in heaven because they're both double-minded. So they could be double-minded idiots together.
Oh, woof. Well, let's.
Oh!
I thought we was gonna end it right there.
No, we're not gonna end it right there because I like to chat and tweet and I like to retweet while watching because you just want to talk to people. It's the same reason why we're recording. Yep. You just want to watch every review, read every tweet because this is so crazy. His cousin was tagging me on Will's cousin was tagging me on Facebook because you just want to talk about like the show. So Chris, Mr. Double-Minded himself, actually had the nerve to go on had the nerve to go on Facebook and write a status. And didn't I tell you he was meeting with Paige because he really wanted to know what his pastor had to say? This is what Chris at the time it was 5 minutes ago, but tonight while watching the show, this is what he wrote on Facebook. Why didn't you meet with me again? Actually, you never told me that in person. You didn't even tell me you went to go have a gossip session. I found out on my own. Ain't nothing worse than a gossiping dude call my phone or pull up. You know how to reach me. I'm waiting. Who talks to a pastor like that?
Oh my God.
Who talks to a pastor like that? But I'm not done. Remember last week I told you that Chris is back with his ex and they were in Mexico? Well, Chris then shared his fiance's mother's status, who was watching the show tonight. And this is what Chris's fiance's Mercedes mother had to say on Facebook. My daughter Mercedes has been through a lot this year. She endured the tragic loss of her father and then sadly the loss of her baby. My family and I are understandably very protective of Mercedes, which is why I feel compelled to speak out. I find it very distasteful and disturbing that Dwight, a pastor, would feel the need to spread lies about my daughter and her pregnancy. A woman he has never met. As a pastor, I would like to think he would have more sensitivity regarding a woman's pregnancy. It is classless, disgusting, and pathetic that a man of the cloth would spread lies about someone he has never met. I just pray that if he ever were to find himself in a position where people are spreading lies about his loved ones, that he exhibits the grace that my family has given him. And then, so Chris reshared that, and he said, how you, my friend, gossiping about me behind my back. 7 years of friendship gone. First of all,
He's immature.
he's very immature. Second of all, people lie to their mothers. People lie to their mothers. I'm sorry. And last week I did say, you know what, let me not be insensitive, and let's give Mercedes a benefit of.
Yeah, you did say that.
I did say that.
You didn't want to talk bad about
I didn't. You know, let's give her the benefit of the doubt. But I don't necessarily believe her mother saying that either. I mean, I believe her mother could be sincere, and I feel like I was watching something where somebody was lying about they lied to their mother about a pregnancy or whatever, because you don't want to look, of course you don't want to look crazy to your mother, you know what I mean? Because, you know, so, who knows?
I still can't believe Paige. Like, you were, like, she was in her mode. She was in her moment.
Double-minded.
To let him know, like, this
Double-minded.
is it. I'm not going to put up with. And then they end off with, hi, I'm Paige.
Psychos.
Hi,
Psychos.
I'm Chris. Nice to meet you.
Match made in psycho, double-minded heaven. Like, the experts were right.
Anyway, can we move on?
They were, okay.
Jake and Haley.
Jake and Haley. Alright, so Jake and Haley, they're very boring.
Yeah,
okay, so Jake, I feel like, is a little bit more interesting, but they're both boring. Like,
I felt like Jake stepped it up this episode, and
with personality.
Here's why. No, when he threw the party, but before the party, let's go to the conversation on physical attraction.
Well, let's start from the beginning of when we saw them on screen. So Haley bought Jacob clothes.
Yeah.
And before that, Haley met up with her friends. Because didn't I tell you guys, Haley is the type of girl who doesn't have a mind of her own. She always has to be around her friends.
That brings up that physical attraction thing, though, because she met up with her friends, right? And Chris, when they showed the picture, not Chris, when they showed the text message or something like that, the time said 12:31, where they had a picture together or something like that. But then, what's the name? He said, I messaged you at 11 just to check the temperature, see how you're doing, because I wanted you to know, like, I was thinking about you. Which means from 11 to 12:30, which means she probably left an hour or even more before that. So poor him, he was there the whole night by himself. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, I feel like Haley wanted to get married because all her friends are getting married. But I don't think she's ready for marriage, to be honest. And because she had a relationship young, remember she was with her high school sweetheart for a long time, so she probably thought she was gonna be the first out of her friends to get married. And now all her friends are getting married, and she's the single one traveling the world. So I feel like she and because she has her guard up, it's not easy for her to get in a relationship. So this was like the perfect opportunity for her to be on the same, what she thinks, level as her friends.
But on like physical attraction, so they had the conversation, right? I felt like Jake in that moment, he could have been like more understanding, but he decided to sort of pull a Chris, throw a tantrum, and say, well, if you're not attracted to me, then I don't see a need for us to go further. Whatever he said, you know, I didn't quote him correctly, but you got to give her credit. She tried, because even after the conversation, she went and brought him clothes, because she's trying to show him, okay, you know, attraction is just not something that's going to happen like that overnight. She's trying. She brought him something to sort of like, you know, earn some attraction points, you know, like, okay, this is how I want to see my man dressed. You know, he's already physically fit. So, I want to see him with this, that, and the third. He's modeling.
Yeah, I did appreciate that. I think Jacob is a lot in his head, and I think that's just from him being like a loner. He has a lot of time to himself. So Jacob, yeah,
And
and
I think they both did something to sort of like fit in that role of attraction because he threw the party and like,
you mean to try to get each other to like each other.
Yeah,
Well, okay.
I felt like that's what the party was
before
for.
that, I was gonna say that Jacob puts his foot in his mouth constantly. Again, he's awkward. I feel like Haley's awkward, but Jacob is awkward and proud, and Haley is awkward, but she likes to hang out with the cool girls.
Yep.
And so she's not really herself. And so Jacob had the nerve to say he's not one to buy flowers. Mm-hmm. And why would you tell a woman that you're not one to buy flowers? That's why you're about to be 40 and you were in a relationship, never been married. Like certain things, you got to look at yourself and say, oh, well, gee, I haven't been doing this. Maybe that's why I can't find this, And Jacob I wanted to hand it to Jacob for actually confronting Haley about having her guards up, because Haley really does have her guards up. She says she wants to be married, but then she's like this. But that's because I feel like she's not ready for marriage. I think Haley is still very young, and so she could have she could still travel the world just because her friends are, and I get it, like in the South people get married really early. So 20, what is she, she's like 20, she's 20 something, she's like 27. Virginia's 26. I think she's like 20. No, she's 28 or something like that, but she's not old, like, you know what I mean, she's not. So but can you
I feel like, to her defense though, like, I feel like she does get a little credit for trying, because what he's looking for is a physical attraction, which she can't offer at the moment.
Well, she's looking for a physical attraction.
No, he's looking for that from her. No,
he's looking for an emotional connection. She's looking for just because he's not the picturesque guy. He's not the Ken. He's weird.
Yeah.
And she hasn't come to terms that she's weird herself.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
I mean, that makes sense. I thought it was the other way around, but I think...
Yeah, she hasn't come to terms with herself and isn't 100% comfortable within herself. This is just from the outside looking in, but she's not 100% comfortable and confident in being okay single, being okay of who she is.
Didn't they have
and
sex
Jacob, yes, but no, but that just because she's not comfortable with herself doesn't mean that they're not gonna have not sex. I'm saying within herself, she's not comfortable in her weird quirks, her awkwardness. And Jacob, who is comfortable in wearing 80s clothes, in having a dog beach in his backyard, in having weird stuff, he's okay with himself. So when she looks at him, it's like a mirror to her, and it's a part that she doesn't like. So, so her guard automatically goes up, because like it just automatically goes up. And but I was gonna say that the pool party that he threw, finally he gets to go and invite everybody to this house that he talks about at least 30 times a day. So I was appreciative of
Yeah, his house was nice. He had the bar. I mean, the gym, the sauna. He had pretty much everything.
It was a nice bachelor pad. It's not exactly my style.
Home feeling,
Yeah, it wasn't. The backyard was okay. It wasn't necessarily my style, but it was okay.
Yeah, I want you guys to let us know what you think, because in my mind, Jake, when he's going by his first experience with her and they had sex, you know what I mean, and to me, he's looking for that physical attraction that he once had with her, you know what I mean. But I think what she's saying is Haley is the immature one. Well, sort of, yeah. And she's like, there's not that emotional.
His
You
guard
know?
is up because of the fact that night where she at their honeymoon, she
Yeah.
lied to him and said that she was gonna hang out with the girls. Meanwhile, she was hanging out with everybody, and so it was like the mean kids, and leaving the weird kid out situation, and that probably brought up a lot for him, and so he put up a guard
Yeah.
about that, but okay, so let's move on.
Let's go to
Brianna.
Clara and Ryan, only
Oh.
because they're gonna be 1, 2, 3.
I don't have any notes on them.
I do.
Oh wait, I do, but I didn't write anything because
So I think Ryan, you
I
know,
fell asleep.
he couldn't really answer the question about love
Hmm.
because, you know, I felt like in that moment he wasn't being vulnerable enough. But then he opened up about how, like, he have never told someone before he loved them.
But he says that every episode.
Yeah. But I do see the boringness in him that you're talking about. I think, so to me, you know, what I seen from these two, I felt like they could have been a little bit on Vincent and Brianna's level when he took her to the donut place. Because I felt like that was so you know, like so intimate. And then once he became boring with the questions and killed the moment to her, I was like, so much for those ideas and thoughts.
I don't think what he was talking about was boring. I just don't think I'm not going to say she's not intelligent,
Yeah.
but I don't think she has that substance.
Could be.
You know, me, what he was talking about, I would talk hours and hours about motivation,
know.
And so I don't think she has the mental capacity to always have a deep conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And not Vincent. With Ryan is very deep.
Yep.
And Clara is not deep. And so, and I don't want to say, oh, she's a blonde, because I don't like saying that, but that's what it was, and she was like putting him down for that. And if you were listening to what he was saying, he was actually saying some really good stuff. She was like, oh, I feel like I'm at a motivational speech. Like, to me, that's a turn off.
And he's really trying.
He really is trying. And also the thing is that I feel like Ryan is a very sincere person. I think with Clara, she's like, oh, I tell people I love them all the time. Then you're not really in love. Like, you're not you never really love them. Like me, I take love very seriously. Like, of course, I'm not like Ryan to that extreme, like never telling people I love you. However, love is a very serious word, and if you're gonna say it to somebody, you better mean it, because it comes with a lot. And so I think Clara thinks she knows what love, thinks she's been in love, but I think somewhat like it's more, maybe it was infatuation, and that could also be a turn off to someone who is more deep in life, more like really means the stuff that they say. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think we're gonna come back to that love thing a little bit later when we talk about Virginia and Eric. But right now, you want to go to
Brianna and Vincent. Brianna and Vincent said they loved each other. He bought her a bike with a basket for the dog, and I thought that was really cute. And even last week when Vincent said he stormed off and couldn't make it past the garage, that he was like, oh, but Brianna and Cookie needs me. So he's already looking at her dog Cookie like it's his child. And so before, so of course now that really threw me off. He's already looking at the dog like it's his child, which is so cute. And everything was going well. He was teaching her Spanish because he wants her to understand stuff when she goes around his family, which is really cool, because I don't like Will learning Creole because I like to talk. Mess, no, I'm playing. But that was really sweet. And basically, I was on Twitter and so I'm sorry. So, because, Vincent was trying to teach Brianna Spanish. She probably thought, oh, let's take him to salsa. Salsa is something else. He's Dominican. So, bachata, merengue, you know, he probably would do better. And so what happened was they were at the dance studio, and the thing is, the beats too, but I hate bachata. I love salsa.
I love it.
I love salsa. I love merengue because that's what I'm used to. That's how I know how to dance. Bachata, it's like 1, 2, 3.
It's
1,
easy.
2, 3. It's not to me, but it's not because it's not
easy.
loose. You're not loose in your hips. No, it's not. No, I don't like it. It's like a side step. It's like, but anyway. So I think that Vincent was embarrassed. That, you know, he's this, I'm so proud to be a Latino, an Afro-Latino, blah, blah, blah.
That makes sense.
And then she's like, oh, you really are? All right, so let me take you to a little salsa class. Since you're so proud, let me take you to a salsa class. And this ninja basically failed the class. Like, how are you supposed to be Mr. Big Time? Oh, I'm Latino. You're gonna come to my family's party and dance, and you can't dance. So, I'm just saying that's probably what was in his head. And so what we saw, and plus, you know, with the editing of cameras, he was just embarrassed. He was embarrassed, and like I said, me and Will are very much like Brianna and Vincent. So Will is very sensitive like that. So I was able to pick that up right away. And so and the thing is with like people like Vincent and Will, like I said, they are good guys. Like Will is a good guy like Vincent. But because of the trauma that they went through in life, their partners often have to deal with like repercussions of trauma that they went through. So the way they process certain stuff, to normal people, I'm not saying they're not normal, but to most people, when somebody says something, or that it's not that serious, or an event happens and it's really not that serious. But when people really go through trauma, go through feeling like they were rejected by their parents, not being raised by their parents, I often see, because also my parents also grew up like Will, and I'm with Will, so I've been able to see it through my parents. I've been able to see it through Will and just other people, that often they don't like to be embarrassed because they want love. And so they're very empathetic people, very loving people, but there's a side, because of that trauma, that you have to be very careful in. You have to just be they're sensitive people, but you have to be sensitive to why they may be feeling away and not brush off their feeling. So you have to be very patient. And Brianna's an engineer, so I'm pretty sure she's patient. But but I'm sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, it's okay. So I agree with her to an extent. I don't agree with everything you said, but some of it is true. So, which brings me to, yes, I was like so excited to see them go dance, right? And then I'm like, okay, he messed up. But then when I look at his face, I'm like, he's actually showing like emotions in what's supposed to be a fun time for them. You know, like, you mess up, keep going. You know, if you're gonna be competitive, be competitive. But don't do what you did. Like, I'm really rooting for him in that moment to like pull it together, but I didn't really think he was gonna take it that far.
I didn't. You know what? It was annoying, but I wasn't annoyed because I'm with Will, so
I mean, I'm
I'm
competitive though. If I mess up something, I'm gonna keep trying again. I'm not gonna beat myself up.
Yes,
like that.
that's true.
You know what I mean?
You're right.
So in that moment, I'm just like, oh man, he's about to kill a moment. I'm like, no, because
I think
I
it
seen
was
her.
just he was just embarrassed.
Yeah, it was like bad vibe. It
And
wasn't...
also, Brianna is a dancer, so she picks up stuff. So okay, as someone, I have intermediate dancing skills. Will is a pro. So
Okay.
if we were to be in like a class, I would feel embarrassed because I know that Will would be able to catch the steps before me. And when you are a person of color that can't like dance, and I'm not saying because I could dance, Vincent can dance, but if you when you are a person of color that can't pick up a dance fast, or you have no rhythm, it definitely makes you feel some type of way.
And I think what I like the fact,
Especially when you're black. Okay.
yeah, I like the point that you brought up, which I didn't really think of at the time, but it was a great point you hit on when you said like when your background is you know, you're from the Dominican Republic, you know, merengue, salsa, whatever, all that stuff, and you get there and you can't do it, and then you're on national TV, and I'm trying to figure out like in his mind, was he thinking like, oh man, you know, back at home I'm this, I'm that, you know, everybody's gonna see this, but I couldn't understand because he the way he behaved, he really went into his, like, I felt like he turned into a little kid, and it was just like,
Because trauma, I remember years ago when I went to therapy, and my therapist said that whatever trauma that you go through in life, you stay at that age. And it could be a smell, it could be a sound, it could be something that somebody says, it could just be a feeling. And that age, that trauma really resonated with you or stuck with you, that's the age that you resort to. So the fact that you said that he turned to a little kid, well, probably reminded him when he was a little
yeah,
kid. Or remember his ex-girlfriend was like, you're too stupid to start a new business, or she didn't believe in his
yeah.
dream. So, or his father
And
rejecting
probably in
him.
those moments he goes back into that stage, his comfortable place. You know what I mean? Where like just him and himself,
Hmm.
and he knows how to, you know, he'll come back out whenever he feels like it. But we have to move on because
Yes.
we don't want to keep them here much longer.
Oh, please.
Virginia and Eric. Okay, so Virginia and Eric, right? So there was a few things for me in the beginning that I had questions about. So when the love question was brought up, I was really happy to see these two have this conversation. And hear me out for a second. In my mind, I said, wait, because earlier it showed that they had their mimosas, right? Mimosas. And I seen them drinking, you know, but it wasn't that much. And then later on, they have this interview. And I'm like, wow, she's doing this with nothing in her hand, nothing to drink. And then as they get closer to the end of the interview or the conversation, she pulls out the glass. I'm like, oh my god, that's what I was gonna give her credit, and I just can't. Like, it's like she can't put the drinks down.
Well, okay, so in my notes, what I wrote was, okay, so Virginia was upset about the communication with Eric while he was flying, while he was at work, which was funny because she just finished getting mad because Eric wanted to know what she was doing while she was away. So now the tables turned, and now she was upset.
Mm-hmm.
So I put that, and not going to the alcohol, which is what you said last week. We believe that her alcohol, like all the drinking, is a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
So she talked about how she had a bad example of love, and how her parents like ended terribly, and I touched on, and I touched on this. I was like, okay, like looking at her family dynamic. Remember, her stepmother came with for the dress, and I said that some of the immaturity that she has, maybe for from her mom. And I think it was 2 reviews ago I talked about that, and you guys can, if you want to go back, you can go back, and how I talked about what the dynamic that I saw with Virginia. So So I believe you're right. Her drinking is a coping mechanism. It's not because she's young, because 26 years old is not, you're not 19, 20 years old. That is an excuse. When I was 26, I was not acting like that. So that's not normal. And I know people who are older, 10 years older than her, that do, and it's a coping mechanism, okay? That party and drink like her, and I'm not. If you're one of those people, I don't, you know, the truth hurts.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's your life, but I'm just saying.
Like, we're not here to judge anything.
Yeah, no I'm not. But I just noticed. I just noticed.
Yeah, in those moments, you know, it's like, I thought it was you know, for it to be so intimate, but it's like you can't really be vulnerable. You're not your true self when you express the emotions, but also you're having alcohol.
Exactly.
Because you're not really, it's not really you.
Exactly. And then Eric got worried with her because the way she said she didn't know, she basically didn't know what marriage was or dating or anything. And so he's been married before. He comes from, his parents have the perfect relationship in his eyes. So the fact that
40 years.
Yeah, and the fact that he is in his early 30s and divorced, it's just, you know, to him it's probably like it probably was an embarrassment to him, or he felt like a failure, which often from my friends who have gotten divorces, from my mother, that's what I heard. It's like an embarrassment and a failure. Not that you are an embarrassment or a failure, but it's just how, you know, people feel.
Yep.
So he wants to be married for life. He doesn't want to do this a third time. So he's going to put all his effort. He really was looking for someone that was going to be his perfect match. And for Virginia to go there just to do it.
Yeah. I mean, and I think an example of him putting it all in, is not saying this was a bad thing, was, you know, I thought this was the moment of the show. They stole a love scene from Brianna and Vincent.
Yeah, I
when
feel like
he pulled out the guitar.
Yes,
you know?
I feel like Virginia and Eric won couple of the night.
Yep.
Let's
do that for now on couple of the night.
Yeah, it was Virginia and Eric. And another note I said the other word, but I put Ninja plays the guitar. Like, where did that come from? I thought that was sweet. Eric is really trying his hardest, and Virginia really just needs to be loved on.
Yeah, I thought
she just needs love.
Yep. And I thought she was so happy.
Yeah.
Once he said that, because, you know, you can tell, like, she's been looking for that, you know, in her life, and she probably didn't get that attention from her parents. She looks for it in her friends, and we all know the biggest thing that gives her the love is the alcohol. Yeah. That's where she gets her love from. So. Or
just not caring, not being in her head.
Yep.
So I feel like as long as Eric keeps doing what he's doing, they'll be okay. She just really honestly needs love. Okay.
And that's it.